Morning, everyone. My name is Lee Cage, and I am your host of 15 Minutes With. Today, I have the incredible honor of interviewing the Darius Brown. Now, Darius has been on a mission to transform the landscape, medium and large enterprise organizations across the globe. And you may be asking how? Well, I can tell you by introducing them to Workday's cutting edge cloud based applications for financials, adaptive, payroll, and HCM. Darius is not just an expert, he's a visionary, and I'm honored to be able to introduce and interview him today. Without further ado, I'd like to bring Darius to the screen. Hey, Darius, good morning.
Good morning, Lee. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Darius, I've seen you on LinkedIn, I've seen articles across or really about you on LinkedIn and from Workday, but I actually recently had the pleasure of running into you at Rising, and I can tell you I was not disappointed.
Well, that's good to know. Good to
Oh,
know.
it started with the shoes, my friend. It started with the incredible shoes that you had on. So I knew at that point we were meant to connect and bridge this gap. Um,
Absolutely.
so Darius, I've learned a couple of things about you, but I would love for the audience to learn about you. So please tell us a little bit about who Darius Brown is.
Sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I guess if I was going to start, I'll begin where I am now in terms of having been at Workday for a couple of years. I've had the opportunity to have a variety of roles since I've been at the organization. Started off as a consultant, actually implementing Workday software. Then had an opportunity to transition over into being in Workday education, where I taught the financial software for a couple of years, both customers and consultants. Then had an opportunity to transition into a pre-sales solution consulting role where I was demoing the product and supporting account executives as they were going out and trying to turn prospects into customers. And then recently had the opportunity to transition over to being an account executive here at Workday. And so over oh my goodness, as I think about it, 11 and a half years here, I've had the opportunity to see and experience a couple of different areas inside of Workday as we've gone through our incredible growth. And you mentioned in the introduction, making sure that we are doing a good job of evangelizing the opportunities that organizations have in order to grow, expand, scale, and handle the challenges that are coming using our software. So I think that's the Workday part. Maybe on the non-Workday side, I'd say I'm happily married for 20 years, actually, this past September. I
Wow,
also had the
congratulations.
opportunity to have two wonderful daughters who I love and cherish. And so, yeah, I think that would be maybe the part that I would come forth in terms of personal and professional.
So as you talk a little bit about this, 10 plus years at Workday, and obviously, you mentioned that you've been married for longer than you've been at Workday. How has the blend been from a Workday's support of family and focus and all those things? What has that been like for you?
Well, I'd say that the opportunity to have been in corporate America prior to Workday, I have a very strong appreciation of what Workday does in terms of actually not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk in terms of supporting families and supporting individuals as they try to balance incredibly complex and usually hectic professional lives with personal responsibilities. And I would say that I've actually had the opportunity to win the manager lottery inside of Workday 5 times. And so anytime that there's been a need, yeah, I feel that I don't want to play it again because I'm not sure I would get lucky on the sixth one. But based on everybody who's here at Workday, I think the indicator that I definitely would. And so just that opportunity to be able to take time off when necessary. We transition to an unlimited PTO aspect and just really trying to make sure that we put the focus on the employees. I've never had any sort of issue where I wasn't able to go to my manager and talk to them about, what was happening, if I needed time, if I needed support. And that's having come from outside of Workday earlier in my career, I can tell you that that is not something that is resident or in the DNA of all companies out there.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. So that's kudos to Workday. Big shout out to them for that. So
Absolutely.
as you think about, kind of where you are today and where you started was technology always on the horizon for you, or is this something you kind of fell into?
I'd say it's something I fell into because coming out of college, and I went to a small Jesuit Catholic college in Philadelphia, St. Joe's, go Hawks, the Hawk will never die. When I first started my career search, I really had no idea what I wanted. I was a business major, but that, in addition to giving me a large range of possibilities, also unfortunately gave me a large range of possibilities. And so literally going to the career counseling service one day, read an article on, it was pre-internet, so I'd say it's probably a LexisNexis search on a consulting firm. And that consulting firm happened to be Anderson Consulting. And I read about some of the work that they were doing with Manufacturers Hanover, a bank at the time. And it just really opened my eyes to this idea that they were people who were helping people make decisions. And that kind of introduced me to the world of consulting. I then had the opportunity to join Anderson Consulting after a little while. And so I think that's kind of how I got into technology. It wasn't something that I had pre-planned, but when I had the opportunity to investigate a little bit about how people were using technology to help them grow, scale, take on some of these challenges, that article really did resonate with me. And so I said, well, in the absence of having a strong desire to do anything else, I will give this a shot. And it ended up transitioning me into that world of consulting. I was in there for probably about 20 years.
Wow. So Anderson Consulting, then I'm sure was some places in between, and then ultimately at Workday. Do you find that your experience from a business lens has helped you throughout your career, or did you find that like Workday really gave you the footing to now kind of own this AE role?
I would say it's a combination. I think when you're a consultant, at least the kind of technology consulting I was involved in, which was large scale ERP implementations, you really get to see behind the curtain in terms of not only what companies say, but actually what their data says about them.
Mm,
And I think just really having an opportunity to see that unvarnished view of what companies were looking to bring into this ERP system that we were implementing really got an understanding of how they how in many cases they don't necessarily know all of the data that they have. And some of the problems that they're trying to solve is not necessarily about what kind of information they have on themselves, but the veracity of that information and how accurate it is and how timely it is. And so many times during that consulting phase, I'd be helping people maybe see that data for the first time as we went through and kind of looked at really what was going to be the baseline of their systems. And those led to some fantastic conversations. And I think to the other part of your question, having that experience and having dealt with individuals from a technology perspective, and then also the roles inside of Workday, really knowing and understanding the product, implementing it, teaching it to individuals so that they could go out and implement it, demonstrating it as a part for new prospects, I think has really lent itself to positioning me to be a solid AE who has a broader understanding of the product and in many ways that some other AEs may not.
I could not agree with you more. Back in an old life, okay, don't tell anyone, it's a secret. I was a training and development manager for a nonprofit. We implemented Workday many moons ago, almost a decade ago at this point. And I would say the knowledge and the foundation that I gained at that point, because I had to learn it so that I could train it and be prepared to answer the questions around it. That foundation has helped me throughout my entire career, and I'm still benefiting from it today. So that's interesting that you bring that up. So I have this question. I was doing
Yeah,
some reading. I like to prepare for these sessions,
of
and I
course.
saw somewhere something about talented 10th. What is the talented 10th?
So, well, I'm glad you actually had an opportunity to do a little research, and I'm happy to talk about what that organization was at the time and what it's sort of morphed into here at Workday. So, the Talented Tenth was the former name of our EBC, Employee Belonging Council, um, which is now called Black at Workday. And so it was the first one that had formed. myself and a couple of other Black workmates had gotten together and really just wanted an area to safely support one another as we're going through our careers, exchange information, and really just network inside of Workday. And that morphed from kind of being a group where we were supporting each other. And we took a look and said, well, maybe the mission should be to share a little bit of ourselves and share a little bit of our culture with the wider culture inside of Workday. And so not only did we keep that aspect of being a supportive group, but we also took on that additional mission of helping to educate, just really helping to share our culture with the broader variety of Workday. And so whether it be Juneteenth celebrations, celebrations about Black culture around not only Black History Month, but Black History Year throughout, and really just helping to weave that aspect into the DNA of Workday. And now I'm proud to say we have many, many more employee belonging councils, whether they be for women at Workday. We just started our new one for the Indigenous peoples group, Jewish at Workday, AAPI, so many others that are out there that I'm very proud to have been a part of that core group of employees that kicked off that aspect. And now it seems like EBCs have always been a part of Workday. I was there at the beginning, and I'm glad to know that people coming into Workday just have EBCs to pick and choose from. That's not something that they have to start.
I love that. I was almost going to ask if the new name for the one at Workday was Cool Black Nerd. I'm looking at your screen. We'll have to coin that and give that back to them.
Well, I would say there's at least one cool Black nerd in the Black at Workday EBC. I don't know if I can speak for everybody in the group, but I believe in truth in advertising. So I figure it's better just to.
Oh my goodness. So tell me, what has been something that you've learned at Workday that you think has significantly impacted your life? Not just your professional life, but something that you've taken with you in your personal life as a father or as a man or as a Black man or just as a cool dude or a cool Black nerd. What's one thing you think you could add from that?
I'd say maybe one thing I've taken from Workday is I think early on in my career, I didn't have a good sense of balance. I was unable to turn off work. It was something where, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours, even more sometimes as a part of implementation. And, I was unmarried at the time, didn't have any kids. And so I didn't necessarily have anything outside of work that was pulling me to help me balance. And I think one of the things I've seen inside of Workday is that you can be dedicated and work hard and put in a tremendous amount of work and effort. However, if you don't have sort of a counterbalance, whatever that may be, whether it be a passion for travel or cooking or your family, but there's got to be something else that allows you to pull away, rest, rejuvenate, refresh, recharge, re-energize, something that gets you back and ready to get back into the fight at work. And just seeing individuals who have been incredibly successful in their careers here at Workday, but then you learn a little bit about them and they're doing biking, biking or raising funds for biking and all these other causes that people are doing. It really, really does help emphasize that Workday does want you to be a whole human being. And so you don't have to be ashamed or worried about taking that time to balance your life. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, because as a father, as a husband, as a son, there are so many other aspects that you do need to balance. And so I'm glad that at least at this particular stage of my career, that ability to balance is something that's supported inside of Workday.
Wow. So Darius, we are going to transition from some of this conversation to a little game we like to call rapid fire questions.
Okay, rapid fire question. Bring it on.
Now, Darius, I have to warn you, you are, which I don't know if everyone else knows this, you are the finale to this season.
Wow.
Of 15 minutes with. So, I won't replay all of the moments of bad rapid fire or funny rapid fire, but I'm very curious to find out where you land on some of these questions.
Okay? All right. Well, let's hop to it. Rapid fire away, sir.
All right. So we have 2 minutes of rapid fire questions. All right. What is your favorite month?
Favorite month?
Yes.
December, my birthday.
Favorite animal?
Would be German Shepherd dog. Had one as a kid growing up, Topaz.
What's one phrase that if we called your wife or your daughters, they know you always say this phrase?
Anytime we're leaving the house, I usually say, let's get ready to rock and roll.
I feel like that should have been on the Super Bowl commercial for the Workday. um, oh my goodness. If your life was a movie, what would the tagline be?
I'd say the tagline would be yourself.
Mm. If your life was a children's book, what would it be called?
Hmm. I would say it would be The Authentic Porcupine.
If you could encourage any young leader, what would be the single phrase that you would leave them with?
I'd say the single phrase would be know your stuff.
Mm. Now I feel like that's a subsection. Like we need a part two for that. That's consulting 101. Know your stuff. Um, Name a four-letter word that starts with S.
With F?
With S, as in
S. Uh, Slam.
okay. All right. That's a slam dunk. Um, what name something recently that you've spent frivolous money on?
Something that I've recently spent fearless money on?
Frivolous money.
Frivolous money.
Yes.
I,
We're gonna find out what your
so I would say frivolous money. I just spent an inordinate amount of money on a Kangol hat because I'm going to an 80s party in a couple of days.
Now I have to tell you, I almost thought that you were going to say shoes. I- That was
That were not frivolous. No, the shoe games are very tight. That is not frivolous in any way, shape, or form.
now I don't know if you know this gentleman at Workday, Jordan Jones, Jordan Ellis, I believe it is.
I don't think I do.
He's an engagement manager, and I every time I've ever seen him, he has had a different pair of shoes. I thought my shoe game was good to go. Just between you, him, and me, we could probably start our own little small business.
Why not? Why not? Let's do it.
Oh my goodness. Do you believe in free will?
I do.
What is one missed opportunity you wish you could go back and have a second chance at?
Missed opportunity would be taking advantage of an internship opportunity at the National Basketball Association.
I mean, I feel like, I don't know people in high places. I know a couple people in low places. We can tag them to this live. Somebody, please go get them. Workday, give Darius a couple days off so he go do that internship. You got to come back and tell you come back.
Indeed.
Last one. If the CEO of Workday asked for your advice, what would be something that you would tell him or her?
I'd tell him to be careful with the jewel that is Workday. We all have to grow, we all have to change, but I would ask him to just be cognizant of our DNA and how we got to this point, to the point where he actually wanted to join and became CEO, which was recent. And that would probably be my advice.
Yeah, I love that. I had a chance to hear him at Rising, I believe. And so I feel like that's going to gel and morph into this new and kind of this new breath of what Workday 2.0 and 3.0 is. So I love that. I
Totally
appreciate
agree.
it. We are at the end of our time. I want to give you, I don't always get a chance to do this, but I want to give you just a couple of moments to share or to say anything you want to those that are listening and that will replay this after this live of who you are and what you believe and how you've gotten here. Anything you want to share with.
Sure, I would say to your audience, Lee, it's really about not necessarily having a final plan of how you want to get everywhere you want to go. I think that we have to be flexible. We have to adapt. As one of my mentors said, it's about taking, what the wind gives you and tacking into the wind. And sometimes it's a circuitous route to where you want to go. And I would also tell people to just be open to the possibilities. It's great to have a plan. It's great to understand and firmly believe that you are going to do X, but I would say that life has a way of changing and giving you new information that you should definitely take into account as you plan whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So just be firm but flexible, I guess, is maybe the summation of what I would offer.
I love that. I think so often we try to pre-plan and scope our entire roadmap, and we can sometimes feel defeated when we don't hit it right at the time that we've decided we should hit it in our and I've had some of those moments myself, if I'm being perfectly honest, where I thought, oh, okay, by 25, I'm going to be married. By 27, I'm going to have kids. None of those things happened in that timeline, but everything has happened just in time, just the way that it was designed to work out and to be. So,
Indeed. Indeed. I'm a little worried, Lee. I think you may have had a conversation with my wife, because there were some conversations before we got married about the timing and plans and when certain things had to happen. And
oh
like
my,
I say, I'm glad I was flexible enough to take in what she was offering, because I can't imagine my life without her.
you know what? I'll tell you this last plug before we both get in trouble. Okay, is that when I met my spouse 10 years before we ever even started dating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were friends, and I tried to take my spouse out on a date, and Skylar said, "Hey, no, I don't date Army people." Okay, see where that landed? We're now married. Okay, so go Army. That's
exactly.
That, especially as we just passed Veterans Day. So, Darius, again, thank you so much for your time and for honoring the 15 Minutes with series with your presence. I am going to just wrap us up here. Everyone, listen, we know that you have, I think it was Southwest Airlines who said, we know you have many choices when you fly. Thank you so much for choosing. We're just going to insert 15 Minutes with. You guys can connect with Darius down below. I'll drop his LinkedIn profile down below. Feel free to connect with him. Send him a message and let him know that you learned a little bit about him, his Workday journey, his life, and how he's conquering the world throughout this unique ecosystem. You can also check out more 15 Minutes with coming up here in the previews. And don't forget to join us the first week of December for the 15 Minutes with reunion, where we'll try to bring everybody that we've interviewed of last season back to one live at one time, so that you can ask them any questions you may have. Thank you again, and have yourself the most amazing day.
Be your own biggest advocate and have confidence in your decisions.
Wow.
I found my way into DEI, honestly, through loving people and seeing that there's a true power that comes from positive interactions.
I think the meaning of life is to enjoy it, not to take yourself too seriously, but also to learn.
Tell you need X, Y, and Z. That user adoption determines if you have a successful implementation or not.
What I refer to as finding the thing that you're really good at.